What is up, guys? It's Kyle with Never Hedge, and the weigh-ins just concluded, and we have some good information and some better insight on how these fights are going to go. The weigh-ins to me is always one of the most important parts of the process here, the betting process. And to start it off, we have Jake Collier versus Carlos Felipe. Jake Collier, he did look better than he has in the past. The only problem is he still looks terrible. He's way overweight. He should not be fighting at heavyweight. Same could be said for Carlos Felipe. The only difference here is that Carlos Felipe has never fought at a lower weight, so it comes a little more natural to him. This is a pick'em fight. I really don't know. It's a toss-up. If Collier could get takedowns, Felipe's in some trouble. If he can't, I think Felipe pieces him up on the feet. He's got the way faster hands. If I had to pick, I'm picking Felipe. I'll probably stay away from this fight. Next up, both men hit weight, obviously. Heavyweight fight, big fat heavyweights. Next fight, we got Luigi Venturini versus Faraz Ziam. Both men hit weight. Both men look good. The only thing that I really noticed was that Ziam, he looked tall. He looked long. He's pretty skinny for the division. But I think when we watch the matchups later, we're going to realize that Ziam is actually the bigger man by a lot. He's going to be able to use that length to keep Venturini big bombs off him. And I think Faraz is going to have the better gas tank, and he's going to outlast him and outpoint him here. Thinking about locking in a bet on Faraz after seeing him on the scales. Chase Hooper versus Steven Peterson. We have our first miss of the night. Steven Peterson took just about all the time, weighed in with the curtain, and missed by 2.5 pounds. Looked terrible, looked dejected. He still has an hour to cut. I don't think he'll use that time. He looked out of it. I hope this fight goes on. I do think Steven Peterson still wins, even with the weight cut. I think it might actually help him. Chase Hooper's very skinny, is not a strong individual. I think Steven Peterson wins by KO if the fight happens, and I will be betting that one for sure. Next fight, Matt Frevola versus Terrence McKinney. Both guys looked on point. I tweeted it out. Matt Frevola was extremely red. I'm not sure if that's because he just left the sauna or what, but he looked good anyways. He was ripped. Terrence McKinney made 155.5 on a week's notice. Professional. He's going to come out there. He's going to bring the fight. Next up, Alexis Davis versus Pannie Kianzad. Both look good. I thought Kianzad looked huge. She said people will know her name after this fight. I'm not so sure. Alexis Davis is no joke. I think I'm going to stay away from this fight, but both girls look good. There's nothing really of note in that one. Hakeem Dawodu versus Movsar Evloev. I did think Evloev looked a little small. He looks a little small every fight out. He used to compete at 135, and you can tell. Dawodu, on the other hand, is massive, absolutely ripped. This is going to be a good fight. If Evloev could get these takedowns, that'll be the key. And if Dawodu's cardio can hold up. So I'm not really sure about this fight. It's going to be super high level. I am super excited about it. I just don't know about it from the betting aspect. Next up, we have Joanne Calderwood, everyone's darling, versus Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy's calling for a title shot if she wins this fight, and I could see why. She's on a great winning streak. Calderwood, they both look good. Lauren Murphy looked real strong up there. I think this line is a little jacked towards the Calderwood side just because everyone likes her. Lauren Murphy is a likable person too, but Calderwood has some kind of cuteness about her that people tend to like, and I think it's why she's the favorite here. Granted, she's a slight favorite. I'm going to lean Lauren Murphy, especially after seeing how good she looked at the weigh-ins. I think she'll be stronger for sure than Joanne Calderwood. Next up, Eric Anders, Darren Stewart. Eric Anders is a huge man. He played college football at Alabama. Super athletic, and we saw this fight before. Darren Stewart, jacked as always. He's a little bit small for the division, and he is definitely smaller than Eric Anders, but he's in great shape. Huge legs. We saw this fight before. Eric Anders was kicking ass before he got DQ'd. I think the same thing happens minus the DQ. So we got a good betting line here. It's minus 150. Eric Anders, they're daring you to take it, and I will take it. Dare me to do it, I'll do it. Next up, Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell. Dober looked great on the scales, weighed in early. Look good as always. Jacked, looking like Aryan Nation. Brad Riddell took a really long time. He was one of the last fighters to weigh in, except he hit champion weight. He was 155. I'm not too sure why he waited so long. If he was on a scale backstage that was telling him a different number. But he didn't look too sucked out. He didn't look bad at all. He did hit championship weight. I'm not going to take into account how long it took him to weigh in. It's going to be a good fight. I was on Dober before the weigh-ins. I'm on Dober still. Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Paul Craig weighed in, looking like Paul Craig. Nothing really to say there. He's not the biggest guy, doesn't cut a lot of weight. Jamal Hill, however, massive. Massive for the weight division. Great build, great frame. He's fired up for this fight. He came out swag to the nines. Didn't take the chain off for the weigh-ins. That's that 0.5 pounds over the 205. And he's going to get that first round knockout, and I will be betting that. Next up, Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. Neither one of these guys ever looked spectacular on the scales. Damian Maia, I did notice he stepped up to the scales a little gingerly, but he did weigh in with a smile. Looked good. Nothing too much of note there. I am taking the dog in Damian Maia, and we'll have him in some parlays as well. Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards. Leon is way bigger than Nate Diaz. It might be a problem in this fight because I think Leon is going to lean towards that wrestling, and Nate might have a problem with that. Nate looked like he always looks, like he should be at 155. I'm rooting for Nate, and the price is pretty good. If you were to make me take a bet here, because of the line is so wide, I would take Nate Diaz, but the size is scaring me, guys. So I think I'm going to have to back off of that dog play and skip this fight altogether. Next up, we got Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. And here's two guys who had tough weight cuts. Brandon Moreno weighed in right away, but he got interviewed directly afterwards, and he did not look good. He was out of breath. He was clearly foggy. His brain was foggy. He couldn't think. And he admitted twice, two separate times on that interview, that he had a bad weight cut. Champ Deiveson Figueiredo clearly had a bad weight cut. He took all the time he needed, weighed in. He did make championship weight, but he stumbled his way to the scales, used the curtain, and looked extremely sunken out. We know this has been a problem for him in the past, and he has always performed, so I'm not going to worry about it too much, but it is a little scary. I'm leaning Deiveson Figueiredo in this fight. Brandon Moreno having the bad cut as well, along with him saying he's more confident, he's not going to be scared of the power. That scares me. So I think Figueiredo catches him. It's tough to go 10 rounds with the champ. Next up, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Both men look good. Both men made weight easy. Adesanya weighed in light, 183.5. I'm taking the dog in Vettori. He's looked really good. He's fired up. And everything that Adesanya has been saying all week has pissed me off. He's burped in Vettori's face. It's disgusting. It pissed me off so bad. I understand why Vettori had to be pulled away from him now. And I agree with Vettori and him saying he's fake. I see it. It's the same thing. I don't want to compare him to John Jones because he's not nearly as bad as John Jones. But it's the same fake. It's just not genuine, and it comes off that way. So I see what Vettori's saying there, and I hope we get our first Italian champ. That's our weigh-in reactions. Like and subscribe. I will be posting all our official bets to our website, so make sure you catch those. All right, thanks, guys.